Hi guys, Toge here with a new video, and this video we're going to a meta-analysis video on the solo shuffle meta, but also on the 3v3 meta. I guess you could say the same. We're going to talk about 2100 with both regions, EU and US, and we're going to talk about the melee state, the range state, and also the healer state, and how they fare with the popularity on these specs as well. I'm going to already say that right now the meta has been really dreadful. Even I enjoy elemental shaman and enhancement shaman, and they are not actually that bad. I just don't like the meta, and I don't know what they did for season 1. It is kind of weird how it plays out. If you compare it with Dragonflight, we're also in Shadowlands, or even like further beyond, like if you're wearing BFA, Legion, whatever, you would never see that representation. Now, we didn't have Soul Shuffle before Dragonflight, but I remember season 1 Dragonflight, it was not like this. I'm going to talk about why it's not like this. Right now, 2100 and more, we have 2.9k, I'm going to round it up even, 2.9k melees, 4.4k ranged DPS, which is kind of crazy, and we have 2.4k healers. Now, I guess that's okay. For above 2100, we have finally somewhat of a 30%, somewhat, it's still lower than 30% to be fair, but it's closer than what we had before in Dragonflight, so that's a good thing. The healer meta has bin pretty much Holy Paladin, Disc Priest, Mistweaver, and to a certain extent Preservation, Evoker, Resto, Druid, and Resto Shaman. That really depends on lobbies, and those are like the GOATs, pretty much. Why don't we see more Mistweavers? It's already a very niche spec, but I would also say that it is a bit more weird to play these days. I have fun with it. I still need to learn on it. But yeah, it's for me top 3 healer, and depending on the lobbies, it could be a better one or a worse healer in that lobby. Then you have Holy Paladin, which got nerfed but still is strong, and Disc Priest, which is, I think, also still strong and got nerfed. It's again, this is probably the hardest healer to play between the Mistweaver and the Holy Paladin. But I would say once you have passed the barrier of learning the spec, I think you can be very, very versatile, and you can basically have a good lobby every single time. And that's a good thing. Like a healer which has like most lobbies being a good lobby, it's actually like very good to climb with. While Holy Paladin, I would arguably say caster lobbies are kind of iffy because your bob doesn't mean shit, and that's it. While Disc Priest doesn't really matter because it was already about PSs and like utility that they had and the damage that they had. So in caster lobbies, you are actually able to cast without getting kicked because they're going to use the kicks on the affliction warlocks, demonology warlocks, whatever is in the lobby. So this is pretty much the meta, like the top 3, and I think it has been closer right now than what we had at the start of the season, which is a good thing. Again, it's a good thing. We had it worse, so I think the healer meta is alright and fine. I would say if you have to do something about the healers, please buff Holy Priest to like a higher level. Like it should be that they get like buffs or maybe a rework or whatever. But right now it doesn't really work. But it is literally the worst healer. Then you have like the 3 bottom. It's not really bottom, but they're like really behind, which is Preservation, Evoker, Resto, Druid, and Resto Shaman. And those are really situational healers, and that's the issue with Soul Shuffle. You don't want to be situational. So they need buffs, that's for sure. And then I think the top 3, you don't really need to change too much, because I think the meta is fine. If they get like the lower healers buffed, it can get interesting for the healer meta. So just buff the lower ends and let the higher ends be good, because then again we want more healers in the soul shuffles. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. How the hell in a season 1 we have like more ranged DPS than melee DPS is beyond me. I think it's crazy that right now at a season 1 where like secondary stats are its lowest in the expansion, we get this result. So there is something wrong. I don't know what went wrong. Maybe the haste stat and other stats are way too high, or you can like personalize way too good your gear compared to Dragonflight. I don't know what went wrong. Like I think Season 1 Dragonflight, I think they didn't have precog. And now, I'm not going to shove the problem into precog because I think it's a good thing to have with the amount of micro CC, the amount of CC that you have. And I remember a moment where literally precog was good, but it was because of the haste buff that you would get from it. And now you don't really have it. And sometimes you try to fake kicks, which never happen, and then you're actually like, micro CC on yourself. But it's really weird how at a Season 1, with those stats being how it is, that range DPS are like literally more represented. And I would say, arguably, I'm going to dive into the activity portion, so you do understand. I'm going to into solo shuffle, into 72 hours. I'm going to use US for now, but if you look closely, you can see, right? We have 30,000 arms warriors, 28,000 fury warriors, in comparison with, let's say, the second top DPS as a range DPS, like Shadow Priest, 23,000. We have BM Hunter, which is the most represented on the ladder, 31,000. We have then Feral Druids being 19,000, which is the most melee. And you see that there is like a correlation on, there is like a thing called popularity. Like melee specs are always going to be more popular. You have 31,000 Retribution Paladins, 30,000 arms warriors, 27,000. Those are the round plays. Again, maybe someone is doing crazy rounds every single day, but I'm going to say normally the amount of rounds is going to scale with the amount of people playing, right? Let's try to not be dumb in this conversation. I know you're going to tell me, oh, but there's maybe 5 warriors that are actually playing multiple games per day. Let's try to take that out of the argument, because then you could say for everything else. Let's just say there are that many games played, rounds played, and that's it. We have like just 100k like played, like rounds played on 3-4 specs. Like if you take Retribution Paladin, Fury, Arms, and let's say Enhancement Shaman. So it will be 100k. It's crazy that 100k of these specs just don't fare well in Soul Shuffle. In 2100, we have 235 Arms Warriors, 460 Fury Warriors, and 202 Enhancement Shamans. Now, let's do the silly argument. We have literally, I'm going to count it roughly, 900 of these three, right? These 3 specs, 900. You have 100 more BM Hunters for that. Just the spec BM Hunter has 1,000 BM Hunters above 2100, which is more than 3 specs, which are, let's say, popular specs. If you don't believe me, let's do the other way. Fury Warrior, Retribution Paladin, Arms Warrior, which everyone knows they are like literally very popular on the ladder. You will always see a lobby with them. It just is what it is. Until a certain point, whenever you're like above 2100, you don't see a lot of them. You see a lot of casters, because they scale very well. Like, it's ridiculous how they scale. Like how good you can be on a cast and like win those lobbies. You have 1,000, and I'm exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. 1,000 specs, like players that are playing Fury, Retribution, and Arms Warrior, which arguably are the 3 most popular specs in the game. They are equal to 1 spec, which is BM Hunter. That is mind-blowing. And then we're going to take Shadow Priest, which has 840. Then you have Affliction Warlock, 538, 413 Frost Mages, 370 Elemental Shamans, 320 Demonology Warlocks, which, again, 3 weeks before, they were like bottom 2, by the way, in representation. Bottom 3, excuse me. Because I think Arcane, Fire Mage, and Augmentation were always last. But Demonology Warlock was also quite last. And then we have the bugged MM Hunter. And luckily they are bugged. Someone told me like they should unbug it so you will see a lot less BM Hunters. the argument would be you will also see a lot more hunters that were playing melee because they love So you would see way more ranged if like that spec was just not like hidden nerfed. And again, it's crazy to think that you see more balanced druids above 2100 than a DH spec, Havoc Demon Hunter, than a Unholy DK, which is quite equal to balanced druid. And windwalkers are like less played than demonology warlock. You have enhancement shamans, which, let's be fair, there are like a lot of like rerolls and alts from one or two guys. Like Big Dam has like 2500 enhancement shamans on like above 2100. So again, the argument could be made for that. But it's crazy that you will see a lot more elemental shamans, frost mages, whatever, than arms warriors above 2100 at season 1. Season 1, guys. It's season 1, guys. You will see 30% more ranged DPS specs in solo shuffle. And that is just crazy to think at a season 1. I don't know if you guys can understand how like terrible it will be at season 2 or at season 1 or at season 3 or god, like again, we don't know, maybe at season 4. Above 2400 it is not different. You will see a lot less healers though, because they have a lot more difficult times to actually go above 2400. And 40 enhancement shamans, which, let's remind ourselves, at least 25 of them are like, I can show you guys, because again, I have nothing to hide. Look at this enhancement shamans. Let's go for like Americas, whatever. Big Dam. You have Big Dam. Literally, you have 13 above 2400. 13. And then you have another one here. He has like 6 enhancement shamans, one close to 2400. Then you have Soul, of course, he's like also having like 2 of them. So literally you have like only alts above 2400. But again, that's for the sake of the argument. Don't take this as like, oh damn, enhancement shaman is like super like buff and it is S tier. It is not. It just is that 3 guys are like exceptionally good at enhancement shaman and they have like multiple alts. So they secure the rank 1 position. Well, what did I want to say? Like again, this is like ridiculous, guys. I think you guys don't understand how grave this is. Like this is crazy, because I'm going to say that a ranged DPS meta has never been very good. Again, I say that I am an elemental shaman player. I love affliction warlock. I made a demonology warlock guide for Christ's sake. Like I love caster. I love to play casters. I love to play like magic dealing specs. I just love that. I played Shadowlands. I literally mained only warlock, warrior, and hunter, which like 2 of them are like ranged DPS. And then in Dragonflight, I made an elemental shaman, enhancement shaman. I made arms warrior. I made BM hunter. I made all 3 warlock specs, which with destruction warlock I got like my highest rating ever in solo shuffle, which again got me legends. BM hunter I got also a legend. Like I really love casters in general, but I despise caster lobbies even as a caster. Like 2 casters versus 2 casters is like the most dumb gameplay that there ever will be. The same for 4 melees, like a lobby where you have unholy DK, arms warrior, retribution paladin, and I would say a windwalker. That lobby is crazy and dumb for like your intellect. Literally, if you're like a healer, it is like the worst thing ever. Except if you like playing like a mistweaver or something. And even then, mistweaver is not that good at the moment. Like you want to play hybrid, but that's not the point. I want to say that right now I feel like the meta is way too caster heavy. I don't know what they could do to nerf that, because it's a general problem. It's not like only a melee, like it's not a spec specific problem. Like BM Hunter is a spec specific problem. I don't know what they did for them, but this is crazy. But like literally 23% of the ranged DPS are BM Hunters. So I don't know. This is crazy. If you don't think it's crazy, I don't know. I think it's crazy. But I think in general they need to step back on like buffing casters in general. In threes, it's as bad. I actually like. I don't know. You understand how bad it is, but it is really really bad. Like the meta has been very 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 caster heavy. Like it's very caster heavy, and this is like again what is happening here is that most comps that are very competitive, they don't play double casters or double melee these days. They play like Feral and Frost Mage, or they play Assassination Rogue, Affliction Warlock, or Fury Warrior with a BM Hunter, RMPs, obviously. Like right now, the meta for threes, I guess, is in a good state. So I guess it's very hard to nerf something based on Soul Shuffle. But I'd say that right now, Soul Shuffle is the most played mode in the game, and they really need to think about like, look, we need to get at least something sorted for the meta. And it's really weird because I don't want them to nerf and like bring all the classes down. But I think it's like a systemic problem where mobility is too high. So you give CC to the melees to be able to lock down the enemies, for example, or you give like loads of mobility. And then your classes, what they need to have is like a lot of defenses, a lot of like survivability, a lot of like annoyance, like for example, a lot of slows, a lot of CC, a lot of damage, and I I frankly don't know. Maybe the hero tones were a bit too much. I am like in a state where it's very difficult for me to enjoy Soul Shuffle too much. Like I play Soul Shuffle because I have goals and I want to be legend really quickly. Although it's very hard right now because I have bad games. It is what it is. But like at least I got duelist. I want to like go higher obviously. For the season. At least at the end of the season. But like it's not enjoyable to see like every single lobby to be a BM hunter lobby. It's very unenjoyable to see like every single lobby I am like whenever I'm like higher like a high rated that all lobbies have like a SP or warlock spec because warlocks like again I play warlock as well so I can testify like literally all warlock specs together is above 20%. So the likelihood that you will see someone in Soul Shuffle that is a warlock is very high. The same for BM Hunter. And also warriors. Like you will see warriors obviously. But I don't know. I think the higher you go, the less you will see them. And just the popularity of those specs also like dwindle down because they have like a not really a learning curve, but like they get stomped by good casters that can kite, and a lot of like healers, like myself included, don't really peel for their melees at all. Like they think that they need to be peeled, and sometimes doing a freedom or dispel on the frost nova or whatever can help them actually reach the target. But I don't know. There is like a problem. It's tough. I think this is ridiculous to see like DH again. I'm not a fan of Havoc Demon Hunter. I really detested it in Dragonflight Season 3. It really was broken. I didn't like it at all. You would see Havoc Demon Hunter with a boomy every single lobby, guys. But now I think it is the time to buff it again. I think it's maybe not okay to have Havoc Demon Hunter being at a 3% play rating as a melee. I mean representation rates as a melee. I think it's also like quite difficult to see like them reverse this situation in season 2, or maybe they are very happy about it. I think it's quite weird that you see that amount of range DPS specs being that high, being that represented at a season 1 where, to be fair, the secondary stats are still not optimized to the fullest, while in a season 3 or season 4 you will have like crazy amount of haste. Like every warlock will have above 31% haste with a lot of mastery and a lot of verse as well. So I don't know. I really don't know what they could do, and it's me kind of saying like, look, if you feel like you're a melee and you don't really reach the heights that you think you could have, it's kind of normal because a lot of like the natural annoying specs are very meta. Like Holy Paladins, if you feel like if you see a warrior, you can bop a lot of their damages off. While affliction walkers, SP, they don't have that problem. So I don't know. I think most people would see this video and think, oh, you're a caster hate or whatever. But like, go look at my channel. I make content on elemental shaman. I make content about warlock. I made content about hunter. I stopped my BM hunter because this is really ridiculous. I don't like to play like the most played spec or most represented spec. I have already a lot of difficulties to do that with my Holy Paladin, but again, you don't have a lot of choices, and to be fair, I suck on these classes anyways, so I have to choose. But BM Hunter is like really... The queues are also super long, man. I don't understand. Like, people play specs that are like overly played, so your queues are also longer, like in general. So I don't know. Something's wrong, and I wanted to notify you guys about it because I think people are not aware, and some people are saying like, oh no, mages have too many mobility, micro CC. The issue is not this. Like, micro CC mobility is now not the issue for melees. Actually, some specs need more, and that's crazy to say. Like, I think warriors right now feels like it waddles down the battlefield like this whenever they're seeing a frost mage on the soul shuffle lobby. Or I think feral druids are doing okay because they have like that mobility, and they have the possibility to shapeshift, and they have the possibility to actually deal a lot of damage with their bleeds and just run away. If they just stick like melee form and try to play like a warrior, they get like cleaved down. But if they're smart, they are just doing their bleeds, try to spread it down, try to do cyclones, run away, try to do a ferocious bite here and there, and play around their CDs, and they're actually doing well. But a BM hunter doesn't have that. They don't have that downtime where you feel like they're not doing any damage. I think SPs as well, actually. Like, I feel like there is no real moment where they're dealing no damage, except if you're like kicking them. But even then, affliction will work as well. Like, I feel like all the nightfall procs that you have with shadow bolts that you get is really insane. Or frost mage, I think like icy veins does boost your damage by a lot, but it's not like the one thing that makes you win the game or not. So I don't know. It's crazy to think that a season 1 you have this situation. So hopefully we do see some changes from Blizzard really soon. I don't know how they could change it though. Like, I don't want to have specs being gutted, but I think it's a systemic problem because like all melees have like suffer from this. Like, it's not like one melee or two melees are like above the melee, like above the situation to say, oh, it's just those specs are bad. It's like every melee spec suffers from it. You cannot explain to me that Unholy DK is doing so poorly even though it's a custom meta. Normally it should not be that way. Normally Unholy DK should be able to like blast those games, but I don't know. So anyways, this was the video. This was the explanation, the meta-analysis. Yeah, I'm a bit like livid about it. Like I feel like whatever. I don't know what they could do. I see a lot of people also like leave the game right now, so it kind of sucks as well. I think there's also reasons for it. I think queue times, or like the meta, or their spec is not tuned well, whatever. But I think Blizzard just needs to step in and do some drastic changes. I think there should be some drastic changes. I would say PvP changes. I already said you need a PvP talent 3, like literally a talent 3 for PvP to make PvP like really more balanced in general. Or like more of a fair way where you can say, look, if you're playing versus a frost mage, you have tools to deal with a frost mage. And the same for frost mages. If you feel like you're playing versus warriors, you should have tools to be able to play and outplay warriors. But yeah, again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.